ideas, but what's often missing is that will to execute them. And this is about finding the right will. Now, what I often find is when you look at motivation, particularly in relation to business, it reminds me of a few things. So we'll come back to the fact that it needs to be durable, okay? So it needs to go beyond that start line, it needs to keep going. You can see the grit, the determination in his eyes. You need that to continue. Now, I often liken it, or I recognise some similarities with starting up a business to actually a relationship. And at the start of a relationship, it's like, you've all been there. It's that kind of like, oh, it's all they can, that you can think about. It's that tightness in the tummy when you get excited to see them. It's all consuming at the beginning. It's everything. You think it's wonderful. This is it. You want to wake up in the morning. It's the first thing you want to do. And it's what you think about throughout the days. But over time, what can happen is gradually cracks start. Okay, and things start to separate out. So perhaps if we go back to this one a second, gradually over time, what happens is arguments may start and challenges come over, and you don't necessarily put in all you need to do to resolve those challenges. Now, if you go back to the beginning, which is why we've got this picture of this fella just represents attraction. Now, I'm not saying that I'm attracted to this guy necessarily, it just represents attraction, all right? So with that in mind, at the beginning of a relationship, people can sort of lock on to, wow, they're so gorgeous, they've got amazing eyes, whatever it may be, it could be the smile, whatever it is. So really, really attractive, and yeah, you fall for them. And then over time, you start to realise, actually, they're not a particularly nice person. And actually, maybe kindness and compassion was a bit more important to you in a relationship than you expected. But similarly, it could be they turn up on the scene and they've got a lot of money. And you think, wow, this is it, lifestyle sorted, security for the future sorted. We're going to have a great time with all this money. But over time, you then realise that actually, they might have lots of money, but they don't necessarily want to do anything. And you know what, when it comes to conversations, it's a bit dull. Actually, you wanted a little bit more than just the money. Now, the key thing is there are certain things that you want, certain things that you need. And unless you recognise what those things are and you're quite clear about what those things are, problems can start to crop up later on down the line, because you can compromise for a while. And that's what a lot of people do in relationships. But it's also what a lot of people do in business as well. They think it's all about one thing, and then over time they're unhappy, or they lose that drive, they lose that motivation. So what I want to share with you today is what some of the key motivators are, the key drivers are that I've noticed in people, and they kind of group into 6 different categories. But before we do that, one thing that I've noticed is a lot of people actually have lots of different options available to them. So there are lots of different decisions that you make when it comes to business. There's decisions right at the start about what kind of business it's going to be, what it's going to be about, whether it's a product, a service, whether or not you want a team, whether you don't want a big team, whether you want facilities, whether you don't, whether you want it to be in the UK, whether you want it to be global ultimately. Loads of different decisions. And often we kind of navigate our way through making those decisions without necessarily giving some thought to what things might be influencing that decision-making process. So, for example, our perception of what success is something that actually influences our decision-making and influences our motivation from quite a young age, quite an early age. So I want you to go back and imagine sort of maybe as a youngster, it could be, I don't know, I'm going to give you some examples here that perhaps you can relate to in some way. Those conversations that you have with people as you're growing up in your early career, for example, where it might be that when you were young, you walk past a marina, you're looking at these yachts, these big flash yachts, obviously owned by rich people, and somebody turns around and says to you, you know what, if you work really, really hard, one day you could get something like that. One day you could be a millionaire. Those kind of things actually have an influence. It's like, wow, that's what success is all about. Alternatively, it could be that you once picked up a magazine, you had somebody on the front cover, and they were absolutely sort of profiled as being this key business person. You look in and think, yeah, that's what success is. Look, they're recognised for their skills, their ability. Alternatively, it could be that you watch your parents as they develop their business, and even though they're developing this business and it was thriving, they still maintain time for family. And that for you is success. Alternatively, it could be, I don't know, could be an auntie who set up this big corporation, but as part of that, they did a huge amount of charity work. And that said to you, yeah, that's what success is about. I think getting to the bottom of what some of your beliefs about success are is quite useful, and it's a good starting point. So one thing that I suggest to everybody is that they actually give thought to what success is to them, because it's all different. It's different for each of us. Sometimes to help you with that process, what you can do is fast forward in time. So you could fast forward, let's say, I don't know, it could be 20, 30 years time. It could be in your later years life. I don't know. It could be that you're sat there, you're reflecting back on your life, or perhaps it's a grandchild or a great grandchild come up to you and they say, you were a business person, weren't you? I want to be a business person. Tell me about your business. What did you do? And fast forward in time and think to yourself, what would I be proud to turn around and say to that child? Would it be that I turn around and say, you know what? They were the best years of our life. We travelled all over the world. We went to Miami. We spent time out in, wherever it might be, Barbados. Or it could be, you know what? We had a massive house and we had these parties. It was incredible. All these people came over. We even had a swimming pool. It could be that you turn around and say, you know what? I've never felt we had a team of people and we were like a family. Lots of different things that might run through your mind. And they're not necessarily questions right now. I can't necessarily say that you'll have the answers right this moment, but I strongly suggest that you give it some thought, because what this is doing now is really identifying what some of the key things are that are important to you. And this is where they tend to fall into categories. So one category is actually about purpose and contribution. Some people have a very strong desire, very strong need to want to make a difference. Now that can happen in lots of different ways. It could be that they want to make a difference in terms of they want to create a service that is going to impact lots and lots of people's lives. It could be that they want to make sure that whatever they do with their business, whatever the product, the service, whatever it is, as long as that's successful, it means that there will be funds so that business can also contribute to charity work. There are different sort of strands to it in different ways, but it's purpose and contribution, helping others in some way, giving to others in some way. I say others, it could also be, for example, the environment. It's about purpose and contribution. It could be towards animals, purpose and contribution, it's the same. So you've got purpose and contribution. Then you've also got excitement and growth. Now, excitement is that, the change. They thrive on sort of growing, learning, trying new things. And then you've also got your love and connection. When I say love and connection, obviously you've got romantic love, but there are all sorts of different types of love. So the example I gave you a moment ago about that person saying, we had a team of people and they were like a family. That's about connection. Love and connection can also come out when somebody is motivated in their business because it means that they can give to their family. So that's combined with contribution, but it's also about love and connection with their family. And then we've got freedom and autonomy. And this is quite a big one. And there's a lot of people recognising this at the moment in recent years. It's that freedom to be able to make the decisions that you want to make, to lead the lifestyle that you want to lead, to actually work in the way that you want to, where you have control over those decisions. You have control over how you do that. And then we've got safety and security. So feeling safe and secure in the knowledge that perhaps you're stable financially, that you know that in the future that you're going to be stable. You know what's happening, when it's happening, you know what the long-term plan is, and you're safe and secure in that knowledge. And then finally, we've got status and actually being significant in some way. So the example being the person on the front cover of Forbes is one example of status. Somebody buying a big flash mansion, driving the big car, wearing the designer watches and all the rest of it. may be wanting those things for status and to be significant in some way. But you also get it where somebody wants to be significant in their business. They want to be seen as the leading face in that business. So you've got these 6 different drivers, but it's not just a case of one person is motivated by one thing and another person is motivated by another. What we've got is differing levels of each of these 6 things. So when we then break it down, I'm going to give you some examples. And we'll start off with excitement and growth, okay? And this is an example sort of graph. So it's not fixed in stone. It's not like we've done some kind of psychometric test on somebody. It's just giving you an indicator of how important certain factors are for this one person. So this one person, if you look at the graph, you can see quite clearly that actually excitement and growth for them is a key driver. It's the main driver. It comes way and ahead of safety and security for them. So this kind of person, if you're thinking about it in relation to business, actually this person is probably going to be the person that wants to think of their business as being ever evolving. It may be that rather than just coming up with one product line or one type of service, they actually want it to continually evolve. They want to innovate. They want to bring new things in a lot, rather than it just being a secure, stable, this is what we do from the start, and this is what we're going to continue doing. And we're just going to do that one thing to the best of our ability. It's slightly different when it comes to somebody that's driven by that excitement and growth. The other way of looking at it is somebody who has a very, very distinct desire for excitement and growth may actually say, yeah, I'm going to start a business, but I'm going to have a very early exit strategy so that I can then move on to the next venture. And certainly you'll be having a chat later on by, I think it's Andy Hallett, isn't it, Laura, that's talking about exit strategies, amongst other things. So this person, you know, if they would design their business and the decisions that they make along the way, it would be well worthwhile them bearing in mind that actually boredom may be something that crops up for them quite quickly. So you've then got freedom and autonomy. So this is where the lifestylers fit in, okay? And a lot of those at the moment. So you can see there that freedom and autonomy can be really, really high for some people's values and sort of needs, drives, if you like. So these kind of people, if they were going to be setting up a business, they may need to consider actually, okay, how do they keep that control? How do they make sure that they don't end up in a situation where they design a business where actually they start to lose that freedom and autonomy? Let's say going for investment. If they're going to go for investment with somebody that is going to take over quite a lot of control, that's going to impact potentially their motivation within the business because they're no longer the ones that are running the show in that sense. Similarly, they may, if they're wanting that freedom and autonomy, let's say, for example, to be able to travel, to move to different countries and so forth. Setting up a business that is facilities dependent, has to be based in one place, having a team of people in one place may not be the best thing for them unless they bring somebody else in to oversee that so that they can go off and travel when they want. So it's working out ways, it's saying, okay, well, what's important? How do we make that happen? How do we make sure that we still satisfy that need? Coming on to the status and significance. This is often an interesting one. Status and significance, take a look at the graph just there, much, much higher for this person than purpose and contribution, for example. Similarly, safety and security is fairly low down. It may be for this person that they really want to be the one that is the brand face. So setting up a business where they're not clearly evident is not necessarily going to tick their box. They may want to make sure that they are the one that leads the troops and is seen to be leading the troops. You may want to be out there on social media, at the front of the marketing campaigns, leading podcasts, that kind of stuff. And that would actually help to satisfy that need for that status. Similarly, it may be a case that actually they want that status and significance that their friends and family can look in and say, wow, look at how well they're doing. So they'll want to earn enough money and make sure they draw down enough money so that they can actually pay for the nice car, the nice house, whatever it may be. Coming on to safety and security comes about in different ways. This person clearly has high levels of safety and security versus purpose and contribution. This is often when somebody perhaps is setting up a business out of necessity. So they need to make money. They need to feel safe and secure that they've got money coming in and it's going to be secure for the future. This person is much more likely to make more measured decisions, perhaps to take fewer risks in what they do with the business. They'll feel more confident if they make sure that they've weighed up everything, they've sought the right kinds of advice from people to know that this is the right decision for them and their business. And then we've got purpose and contribution. Somebody like this, actually, if they're very, very driven, they see their business as their key way in which they potentially be able to contribute and make a difference to other people, then that is what is going to drive them when they wake up in the morning. If they feel that their business isn't really making a difference, they've done something because it was kind of going to make money, and yeah, it was kind of safe bet, it was where their skills lay, but it doesn't have any, what many people refer to as, it's got no soul for me, it doesn't do anything for anybody. And they're going to wake up in the morning and think, well, what's the point? Doesn't mean that they have to start their business necessarily, but it does mean that they would then need to say, okay, well, how do I start to make more of a contribution to other people, either through the business or within the business? It could be purpose and contribution by helping, coaching other team members, that kind of thing can come about. So lots of different ways you can satisfy these needs. And then coming on to the love and connection. So love and connection, in terms of, as I said before, it could be that somebody's really driven by wanting to create something for the love and connection of their family. They want to be able to spend time with their family. They also want to be able to give to their family as well. But it's also often about the people that this person works with. So they're not just employees. For people like this, it's more about actually having relationships with those people being like a community. These people being like their tribe. So for somebody like this, having, let's say, outsourcing loads of different work, or perhaps having a completely remote team that you very rarely see, may not work for them, because actually one of the key drivers is that connection with other people. So we come back to actually, how we make these things in reality keep going. And I think one thing for us to recognise is actually what our drivers are. Because we've got different ones and to differing levels. And they will influence how motivated you are and how well you stay motivated throughout. But it's not just about us. It's also about the people that we work with. And that's where you can actually take these drivers and start realising that they affect other people. So the team that you bring in, they're going to be driven by different needs. So for example, one person may be incredibly family driven, so they actually work for the loving connection of their family. So for somebody like that, actually, they're going to be much more motivated by a position that enables them to take time off to go and see a kid's nativity at Christmas. Somebody that, a role that allows them that flexibility to be able to spend time with family is potentially going to be, as important, if not more important, than a role that pays them lots of money. Similarly, somebody who's driven by safety and security, they want to know that in the future that they've got a good pension, they've got good benefits and so forth. It's going to be much more important to them than, say, the title of their role. If somebody was driven by status and significance, they might like a slightly different role title. But people like this might be much more motivated by getting, let's say, family membership with Nuffield Health, that kind of thing, than having a title on their resume of being a director, because it's not as important to them. And then you've got people that will be much more motivated if they've got time and the ability to be able to go and use their free time. They want to travel. That could be as part of their role at work, or it could be in addition to. Lots of different ways that this then influences how we potentially try to motivate people, but also the people that we bring in for different roles. If we bring in somebody who's clearly driven by status, they may not be the best person to come in to a team that's going to be run by somebody else who is also clearly driven by status and significance. So we can apply it in lots of different ways. So there's 6 different kind of key drivers identified over the years. These are the 6. They make a fundamental difference to people. And it's not just in terms of what business right from the start. It's about the decisions that we make along the way as well. If we recognise what our drivers are, if we can get clear about that, it helps to shape the kind of business that we design. It helps it to be one that we wake up in the morning excited about. And even on the days when it's difficult and it's challenging, or on the months or the years when it's difficult and it's challenging, you still come back to, but this is why. But you can only do that if you work out what the why is. At the end of the day, we make time and we put effort into the things that are important to us. But many of us don't actually really clearly work out what those things are. And that's what I really strongly suggest that we all do, and we all review it, because you know what? It changes as well over time. Thank you very much, guys. It's over to you. If you've got any questions at all or observations, then feel free to say. And yeah, any thoughts?